The Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, USSR, played a crucial role during World War II. After fighting in the early years of World War I as the Russian Empire, the nation withdrew from the conflict in 1917 due to the Russian Revolution, led by Vladimir Lenin, which ended Tsarist rule and established socialism. In 1922, Socialist Russia aligned with other Eastern European countries, forming the Soviet Union, a vast, multilingual nation that united countries like Russia, Ukraine, Lithuania, Georgia, Uzbekistan, and others, totaling 15 nations, most of them Slavic. During the 1920s and 1930s, the USSR underwent social, political, and economic reorganization. In 1939, Adolf Hitler's Germany and Joseph Stalin's Soviet Union signed a non-aggression pact. However, the international community saw it as a temporary diplomatic agreement since the two nations had completely opposing ideologies. Despite this, the pact benefited both sides. The Nazis secured the ability to invade Poland without Soviet interference and avoided fighting on two fronts, while the Soviets gained time to invest in heavy weapon production and soldier training. However, Germany broke the treaty in June 1941 by launching Operation Barbarossa, aiming to crush the Soviet Union within weeks. This marked the Soviet Union's entry into the war, aligning with the Allies by declaring war on the Axis powers. If you're enjoying this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to our channel for more historical content. The Germans expected to capture key Soviet cities within 2 months, but they faced significant challenges. Initially, Germany had the advantage due to its preparation, discipline, and element of surprise. However, the Soviets resisted, with Stalin calling for national unity and patriotism to keep all Soviet republics united against the invasion. In September 1941, Leningrad, modern-day St. Petersburg, was surrounded by German, Italian, and Finnish troops in a siege that lasted until January 1944. The city was deprived of clean water, energy, and food, leading to the deaths of thousands of Soviet civilians. Meanwhile, the Soviets continued militarizing and defending their territory as the Germans attempted to invade Stalingrad. Hitler sought to capture the city named after Stalin himself as a symbolic and strategic victory. However, the Germans faced enormous difficulties, especially during the harsh winter of 1942 to 1943. With temperatures dropping to -40 degrees Celsius -40 degrees Fahrenheit, German troops lacked proper winter equipment and training, giving the Soviets a significant advantage. Familiar with the terrain and well-prepared for winter combat, the Red Army secured a decisive victory at the Battle of Stalingrad in February 1943, one of the most significant Allied triumphs of the war. Many historians argue that Hitler's decision to attack Stalingrad was a critical mistake, especially as he overstretched German forces by engaging the numerically superior Red Army. Later in 1943, during Operation Citadel, Soviet forces halted the German advance in Kursk, securing another key victory. Gradually, the Soviets pushed the Nazis out of their territory, forcing them to retreat into Poland by July 1944. By April 1945, the Soviet Union launched a massive eastern offensive against Germany, capturing Vienna in Austria and surrounding Berlin. On April 25, 1945, Soviet forces advancing from the east met American forces from the west, effectively sealing Nazi Germany's fate. Within days, the Nazi regime collapsed. Even after defeating Germany, the Soviets played a crucial role in Japan's downfall. They joined China in expelling Japanese forces from Manchuria, a region originally Chinese, but occupied by Japan since the 1930s. This operation succeeded in August 1945. Throughout the war, the Soviets clashed with Japan multiple times, as the Japanese sought to expand their influence in the East. With the war's end, Stalin's Soviet Union emerged as a global superpower, playing a decisive role in defeating Nazi Germany and significantly contributing to the defeat of Imperial Japan. This recognition led to the USSR becoming a founding member of the United Nations, UN, and securing an occupation zone in Germany, which became East Germany, GDR. For decades, the Soviet Union engaged in a political, ideological, and military rivalry with the United States, known as the Cold War. This conflict peaked in the 1950s and 1960s, as both nations shaped the global economy, dividing countries into pro-capitalist and pro-socialist spheres of influence. However, over time, the Soviet Union's power declined, ultimately leading to its dissolution in 1991. The 15 nations that once formed the Soviet state became independent and transitioned toward democracy. Nevertheless, the Soviet Union's contribution to the Allied victory in World War II remains undeniable, particularly in defeating the Nazi threat and its ideology of racial supremacy.